Welcome to Linda's Corner. My name is Linda Bjork, and today we're going to be talking about the power of the heart. I'm excited to welcome special guest Hema Vyas. Hema is one of the UK's most prestigious psychologists and mentors, who is known for seeing the problem behind the problem. Her most recent keynotes and corporate development programs are on the subject of Omnipreneurship. You can reach Hema at her website, hemavyas.com, and I'll include a link in the description. Welcome, Hema. I'm so delighted that you could join with me today.
Oh, I'm so delighted to be here, Linda. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm so excited to be talking about the heart. But before we get into that, you use a word that is new to me, and that is omnipreneurship. I've heard of entrepreneurship. Could you please help explain to me what the difference is?
Yes. So basically, omnipreneurship is a play on the word entrepreneurship, but it's about including more than just business endeavors. It's about, attaching health and well-being as well as meaning and success to life in every aspect, including business.
I love that. That resonates with me. I love being able to put things together in a whole rather than keeping them as separate pieces. Sometimes we keep our lives separate, like in a little bento box where work goes here and family goes here and health goes over here. And then our mental health, if you talk about it at all, is out there somewhere. So to be able to include these things, I love that you're bringing that in. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay. So how do we align our heart and our mind and our body, and how do we put that all together?
Well, it's exactly as you just said, Linda. We've learned over the years and centuries as we've evolved to separate everything. We've learned to put everything into compartments, and those compartments become our building blocks. And so now I'm here to sort of go beyond mindfulness and meditation as a way of kind of helping with stress and recognizing that, the mind and the body and the heart, they're all connected. And the way we connect them is actually to clear out our heart space. Our hearts carry all the thoughts, all the feelings, all the memories that we've ever had in our lives, as well as things that we've carried in our genes through ancestral patterns, through our parents, grandparents, and everything gets stored in our hearts. And so now we have to actively work at letting go. So really it's a process of letting go, clearing out, emptying out. And we often can experience that as a loss, but actually it's such a gain, because when we let go of everything, we discover the truth of who we really are. And in discovering the truth of who we are, we organically align the heart and the mind and the body, because they all work together. They've always worked together. We as human beings, as we've evolved, we've separated it. And actually that's part of the reason why we struggle so much with so many different things. And so for me, heart alignment is, a process of letting go, but it's also about recognizing the spiritual laws of nature, that we are part of nature, nature is a part of us, and bringing the whole thing together so we start working in unity, start working as one, start working in an interconnected way, which is where prosperity and true joy lives in my mind.
I love everything that you've said. My heart, my mind are totally into this. It just resonates with me. And I have been studying and reading, and I read a book called It Doesn't Start With You, that talks about how our things are inherited and all these things. And we have family issues right now where some things need to be let go. And so this affects me personally. And I am delighted that you're helping to make these ideas mainstream and helping businesses to be able to understand. Because it wasn't that long ago where if you made this comment, someone would put you out in woo-woo land instead of recognizing, oh, this is true. This is true. And truth is a beautiful thing. And when we can embrace truth, it makes all the difference. And I love that you're connecting this with the business world as well. So how do business leaders respond when you give this kind of a message?
I think, as you say, once upon a time, not too long ago, it would have been laughed at. When I first started talking about the heart, I'm talking about 30 years ago, I was told, absolutely, you cannot do this. You cannot talk about the heart in this way. You cannot bring it into business. You certainly can't bring it to mainstream. And, but I persevered. It was something I strongly believed in. I've always believed in it. And now I think that more and more people are recognizing there's a truth. It's like an idea. When the time is right, suddenly it spreads like wildfire. And, despite the fact that I've been talking about this and truth and love and bringing love into the workplace, bringing heart into the workplace, now it feels like the more I talk about it, the more I hear people like yourself are going, I love it. It resonates with me and it is a truth. And in terms of business, I think that we've kind of reached a plateau really with humanity, with business. And I think when it comes to humans and people who are working for organizations, leaders are recognizing the need for something new and something different. And they want the competitive edge. We're always looking for that competitive edge. And I think what they're realizing is that now they've done so much in the external world, what else can they do? And they're beginning to recognize that the work they need to do is really working on the human aspect, the human sort of capital, in terms of that is a great asset, and how can they really, really help people really flourish? How can they help people become productive, become more creative, to become better leaders? And it's by really connecting them with the heart space, connecting them with heart qualities. The qualities of the heart that once upon a time used to be sort of known or associated with soft skills are now people are recognizing are the actual skills that they need to have a competitive edge. And so it's really being received really well.
That makes me so excited. I love this. This is such a win-win, because when you talk about it as a competitive edge, I mean, what business is not going to glob onto that and say, yes, give me some of that? But treating people as people and recognizing them as humans, that helps each and every person who is involved in the business, because nobody wants to be seen and perceived as just kind of a cog in the machinery. We're people, and we want to matter, and we want to know that what we're doing matters, and we want to be appreciated, and we want to be seen and heard and understood. And having that, saying that this is what gives you a competitive edge, is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Thank you. It is so true, because I do think that, people were either burning out or, struggling in lots of different ways, and also recognizing that people have lives and they have outside lives, and those matter, and they bring all of themselves, even if they try not to the workspace. And so, we have to start seeing people for all of who they are, not just, the role that they play in a work environment. And when you say, okay, gosh, and how's your family, and how are those people that you care about and love, and if you need time for them, the importance of family, the importance of love and connections and relationships, that's another factor that is huge in terms of productivity, creativity, that competitive edge. And the more people recognize it, the more leaders begin to recognize it and lead by example, really taking care of people, taking care of who they are, not just in their role, but who they are outside of the roles within the workplace. I think is going to be so central to success in the future.
I love that direction. I hope people listen to what you have to say, because that is such a win-win. Okay, so you talk about how to work on the heart and to open the heart and to let go. Do you have some tools or some ways to help people to be able to work on that? First, I think a lot of times we don't even recognize what we're carrying. So there's that becoming aware of what it is, that process, and also the process of letting it go. So do you have some tips on how to do that?
Absolutely. So, there are a number of tools, and I think number one for me is definitely education, because it's, as you say, you see, truth for me resonates, and it resonates beyond the intellect. So you don't have to necessarily intellectually understand something or get how it might be true. You just feel it. You feel that it's true. And so education is key to, my programs. It's about going in and really helping people understand how the heart works, why it works in the way that it does, and why what we're doing is counterproductive, and why we need to tap into that inner sort of knowingness, tap into the heart qualities. And tapping into them could be, process of something like meditation, even mindfulness. Let's start with mindfulness, meditation. There are different types of yoga, and it's a science, it's not just about yoga doing these lovely poses, which is wonderful, and it's really good for health and breathing. But it's about understanding how our physiology responds, how the electromagnetic field within our hearts, in our bodies, and around us from the earth, how it responds to the different things that we do, the way that we move when we breathe, when we hold, different mudras, different hand postures, different body postures, and the impact that it has on changing that vibrational field and therefore changing the heart space. The heart is a beautifully finely tuned instrument, and it resonates so easily, and it's so adaptable and so flexible. And anytime you give it attention, it will move. And it will move in the direction of your attention. It will move in the direction of your intention. And so if you have an intention and to let go of something simply because you've been on a lecture to understand how we carry things and why it's important to let go, and how it will help you move forward in your life in a number of ways, then I think that, you're more likely to apply that knowledge if you really understand it. So knowledge is a tool that I think is very central, really, really understanding the science, the physiology of how it all works and why it works. And it's been working for centuries, and we're bringing that knowledge back. Meditation is something that I love so deeply. Again, there's a difference between sort of the kind of basic meditation where you think that it's about letting go of your thoughts, and so that's what people try and do, and sometimes they're successful, sometimes they're not. And I say, no, meditation is beyond that. It's not about your thoughts. Of course, you want to slow down your thoughts, and if possible, to sort of shut them out completely. But actually, it's about really listening. And that's something we all need to learn to do, to really listen to our hearts. Because when I say, if you just stop and tune into a vibration in your heart and just feel it, and listen for that frequency, listen for that sound that it might make in your heart, listen for a sound of nature, primordial sound, then you're going to be able to hear what your heart has to say. And when your heart speaks to you, it doesn't speak in language that we understand. It speaks in resonance, it speaks frequency, and then our mind interprets that resonance, that frequency, into an image of whatever it might be, which then becomes a thought, and that becomes our reality. And so it's really understanding how to use the power of meditation to not just manage stress and not just to slow down your thoughts, but to actively get answers, actively find the solutions to problems you may be experiencing, and actively create and co-create the life that you want, as opposed to the one that you've conditionally been living.
Oh, I love that. I love so many parts about that. And I love the idea that the answers are already inside of us, and we just have to be able to unlock, listen, and to be able to open them. And it's such an interesting combination as you talk about listening to your heart and relaxing and not worrying if we don't understand all of the science, but to be able to trust ourselves. It reminds me a little bit of Star Wars, where he says, Luke, trust the Force. And we all kind of don't really trust the Force a lot of times because you can't understand and all of the details. So the idea of, we're all little Jedis here as we're trying to learn how to just relax and to let go and to connect with the power that is inside of us. So I love that. That's beautiful. And it's interesting. You talked about that frequency. And when we started, we both used the word resonate. That resonates with me. It's a word that came very naturally. It wasn't something I looked up. It just felt right. So sometimes I think when we connect with the truth, it does resonate with us. It's just like, that feels good. It feels right. And then if we just allow ourselves to trust and to move forward with that, rather than saying, oh, but I can't prove it and I don't have the research or whatever, I think we'll be in a better place, I guess.
I definitely think so. I think the word resonance, sort of hit me a long, long time ago when I would be speaking about different topics about the heart and about different things around the heart. And sometimes people would say that exact thing to me. They would say, I loved what you said, and it really felt right. And, my whole body relaxed. I immediately felt better from what I was feeling, whatever they might have been feeling. But I didn't understand it, and it used to make me laugh. And I just used to think, well, I love that, because I think, and that's when I sort of really, really realized that ancient heart frequency has a resonance. And when we resonate with something, it's because our bodies are going, yes, that's a truth for me in this moment. And so it's lovely that people can hear something, people can tune into something. And I think we're doing that all the time. It's just we learn to, kind of block it out. And now I'd like to think that, I'm working on helping people really, really tune in and to learn to be able to hear when something feels like a truth, because that's where we're able to heal ourselves. That's where we're able to progress, to be successful, to be happy, to find love. All the things that we're looking for in the external world, it comes from that truth resonance within our hearts.
Oh, what a beautiful thing. And you teach, I don't know if it's a teaching or an experience, so it's called the Heart Resonance Path to Prosperity. Can you kind of explain what that is? Is that something you do as a keynote speaker, or is it something you do one-on-one or with corporations, or what is it?
So I do courses, but I also do retreats. And so, part of the retreat experience is that we bring all of the aspects, the different tools together. So there's some sort of education, there's meditation, there's a yoga, massage, being in nature. That's another tool that, I think is so important, because recognizing we're part of nature. And so when we really connect with nature, not just going out for a walk, just because we want to get fit and healthy, but really, really going out for a walk and being really conscious of all the different colors and the sounds and nature that's around us. And the retreats, that's where I run sort of the path to prosperity. Prosperity for me is all aspects of our being. It is health, wealth, love, passion, and purpose. And so it applies to our personal lives as well as our professional lives. And I really genuinely believe that when we understand all the different strands and how the heart connects with all different aspects, and how we can bring them all together by a number of different things. Everything in life is a process. There isn't a 5-step program. It's more of these are the 5 kind of elements that relate to the 5 elements in nature. And so how we can bring it all together in ourselves and begin to heal ourselves, not necessarily because we're unwell, but heal ourselves of a lot of conditioning, a lot of past trauma, whether it belongs to us or to our ancestors, whether it belongs to another timeline, another space. It doesn't really matter what your beliefs are. We can't deny the fact that we are made up of so much more than our own experiences, because we get little nuances from different people. Lots of people will say, oh, I'm just like my grandmother, or I take after my great uncle, or whatever it might be. And it might skip a generation. And you think, well, why did I get this quality and the other siblings before me didn't, or after me haven't, because I think energy flows, and so we somehow on an unconscious heart level, we pick and choose different qualities to work with. And so, the work that I do, the courses are really about helping people with whatever area they're struggling with, because when you bring it all together, when one area is out of balance, everything will somehow eventually fall out of balance. And when you bring one thing that's really out of balance into balance, other things begin to fall into balance. So my courses are very much about balance and finding that truth and healing all aspects of ourselves to really, really prosper.
I love that. And it's interesting, as you mentioned, connection. I heard that over and over again. I remember at the beginning, I kind of used an analogy of that bento box where we keep all of the parts of our lives separate. And now as the idea of connection and connecting the parts of our lives and connecting our heart and our mind and our body and connecting all of these things. And I think right now as a society, especially as we're still trying to emerge from this COVID, where people feel isolated and they don't feel connection with other people. I think if we feel connected within ourselves, it helps us to be able to connect better with other people. And so I just see it, I see kind of a fractal pattern where it's like if this works, this tiny piece, then the bigger part also works and everything kind of comes together as a whole. If you get the right patterns going, then those good patterns can continue and affect ourselves, our family, our communities, our business, our neighborhood, and the world. That as much as we're able to affect our circle of influence, whatever it may be. So I love that.
Absolutely. And that's so true, because I believe that the heart is both a mirror and a magnet. And so it's a mirror for things we're holding inside, and that's what will get reflected back to us. It's a magnet because, when we have that clear space in our heart, when there is clarity, when there is love, when there is beautiful positive qualities flowing and emanating out of our hearts, I think we begin to attract those same sort of qualities, and we begin to attract those same experiences, that pattern that you talked about, When the pattern is working, I think the pattern grows. And so when there is love in our hearts, the love grows. When there is gratitude in our heart, the heart acts as a magnet and it grows. And there have been a number of studies, for example, where people have been, really kind of working on aspects of themselves, areas where there are groups of people meditating, for example. Studies showed that the crime rate went significantly down. And I think it's a lot to do with the influence that we're able to have without recognizing it. So we might think, well, I can influence my family, my loved ones, I can influence my friends, I can influence people I work with, colleagues, But the truth is we're impacting and influencing so much more. We are impacting our neighborhood, we are impacting our community, and we are impacting the world at large when we are in a really positive state of heart, and when we do the work to clear the heart and allow that heart space to really be a clear channel for love, for goodness, for positivity, for prosperity, then I think it can have a real ripple effect in the world. And that's why I'm so passionate about what I do.
Oh, the world needs this.
Yeah. It's not just about changing our own lives, it's about having a huge impact, a huge ripple effect on the rest of the world. And we saw the negative impact of COVID. We saw, what isolation does to us. We're tribal animals, because of our hearts. Our hearts are all interconnected. And so therefore, if you isolate us and cut us off with 4 walls from other hearts, I think that's going to have a detrimental effect.
And we have seen that is very much the case.
Yes. And the mental health, impact is negative, so negative. And I think that we need to recognize, and this is why understanding the heart and the science of the heart is so important, because we wouldn't make these kind of choices if we really understood the fear that has gone into people's hearts, over the last year. That is so detrimental. The isolation, the uncertainty, and so how do we change that? We change that by going in. Because while I may feel isolated from you, let's say I'm in my home and I can't go out, I can't see anybody, and I'm isolated, then I invite people to go deeper in, to go so deep that my heart opens up so much wider that your heart feels that even though you may not know me, before this call, we didn't know each other, but some way our hearts must have met and we must have said, yeah, let's do this podcast together, right? And that's why I say, go in. When you feel disconnected from someone or something, go deeper in and find that something within you and resonate with that energy, because that is when you're going to magnetize it into your life. And so if you're missing connection with people, then go in and find that deeper connection with yourself, because you will organically manifest and attract into your life more connections that are healthy and bring that sense of joy.
I think that is so beautiful. And I love your statement about how the heart is a mirror and a magnet. And you teach about how people can do less and achieve more. And
Yes.
So that's a beautiful thing. And it's kind of counterintuitive to a lot of the things we've been taught for a very long time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's one of the things that I really want businesses to understand. That sometimes, we've got into a habit of thinking more is more, and it's really not. And it's because of a lack. We're all carrying a sense of lack, and I think that lack is a lack of connection with our own hearts. Because I believe when we connect with our hearts, we recognize we have everything we need, and therefore we don't need more. And because we don't need more, we don't have to feel we have to do more. And when we're not doing more, actually we have more space to create.
That is so fascinating. I have been trying to apply that in my own life, of that pattern of, for me, it was like I've got to do, and I've had to sit on my hands and calm down and say, no, I need to pause, I need to step back, I need to think. And it felt so weird. And now it's creation and things are happening. So I would say that is something that's being manifest in my life. So it's interesting. Beautiful.
Thank you. I absolutely see it in my life and the lives of the people I work with. I see, and at first they're like, oh, I'm not sure, really? I shouldn't do anything, or I can't do that. No, stop, and find other ways, clear space in your heart, clear space in your mind, clear space in your body, because when you do, you will see it. And because I've had so much success over the years with people really, really getting, I only work, through sort of referrals, somebody introducing me to somebody rather than actively going out, or, if I do a talk, for example, or something. And because all my work comes through people who have seen the benefits, that others have got, they trust it more. But you're right, it is counterintuitive. But when you witness it for the first time in your own life, you realize it really works. And then that becomes a more natural habit. And I think it's a wonderful thing we all need. That sort of the pause we had with the initial sort of lockdown of the world really gave people, time to go, gosh, I really like this sedate kind of, life, and not having to rush from one place to the other. Obviously not in the enforced way that we had it, but I do think it was good to slow down and realize the world still kept spinning. Just because we weren't doing 101 things, things still got done.
You found some gold in this challenge that we've been facing. And I have heard different friends and neighbors who have commented on that it's like, I do feel more at peace. I'm not running around. Some people are afraid and some people feel more at peace. So I guess it depends on our personal response. And it's the exact same scenario. This is one interesting thing where the whole world is experiencing the same scenario. That doesn't happen very often.
Absolutely. And I think that's the difference in mindset and heart set, because, when our hearts are trained to sort of really open up when things get difficult, I think we're going to be more resilient. The reason why people go into fear is because the mind goes into overdrive with imagination and the heart shuts down. Whereas if we allow our hearts to open up and remain open, our minds become open and expansive. And so rather than getting caught up in whatever the narrative is, whatever the story is, we suddenly find, our own goal. We find the goal, that is waiting in each moment. Because I really do believe that each moment is precious. And each moment is a beautiful teacher and a beautiful lesson that we can learn, not in the way of we needed to learn the lesson, but a beautiful lesson where we can grow and evolve and become better human beings, to become better in terms of who we are as individuals and who we are as a kind of a species, part of this planet.
Oh, that's lovely. Beautiful. Well, thank you. I have enjoyed this conversation so much, and I am so excited that you're able to teach this and that businesses are listening, and you went to Dubai and you spoke there and you speak all over, and I'm just tickled pink. So thank you for what you're doing, for helping to open people's minds so that they can open their hearts, because we can't reach the heart unless our mind allows us to open it, I guess. So
absolutely.
Thank you for sharing, and thank you for being here with me today.
Oh, thank you so much. I really enjoyed the conversation, and it was wonderful to connect with you. Really lovely.
Thank you. In closing, I'd like to share a quote by Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung. He said, "Your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens." Today, I invite you to awaken by looking inside your heart. See you next time on Linda's Corner.